Welcome back again to Human Movement. I'm excited for today. Today we're going to be pairing some easy passive relaxing stretches with the same joints, some type of joint rotation, okay? And as we work back and forth, we're going to change up the passive stretch, but maintain the joint rotation. And I hope that our joints are feeling increasingly better through this type of stretching work, mobility work as we get going. So let's begin with our hips. And you're gonna need something for support later. So I have a chair here, okay? You can use a wall, it doesn't really matter, but something to balance on. It's gonna be a hip rotation we've seen many times together. Now, let's start with our left leg down, okay? We're gonna push back and forth, in and out, about 5, 6, 7 times. And then we're gonna layer into a second, more intense stretch after that, okay? Before moving to our joint rotations. And what we're doing here on this first set of hip work is we're going to work on what we call the anterior compartment, okay, or the front of the hip. So we're stretching the front of the hip, and then we'll follow up with a little hip rotation thing afterwards. Now, give me a pause in your forward down position, okay? Trying to think about reaching this front part of the hip down and forwards. We're going to hang out here for about another 20-30 seconds. And then we're not going to do the second leg right away. We're actually going to do this joint rotation thing I keep referring to before moving to our second leg. A couple more seconds, allowing your hips to sit down and forwards. It doesn't need to be anything super intense. If you're a little bit cold or you just woke up, by cold I meant you're not warmed up or ready for stretching, come on out. Now, grabbing your object, same leg, okay, my left hip needs to be the moving hip here. Bring your left knee up towards me like so. Give yourself a little pause. And then with lots of control, span the knee outwards, okay? This other leg stays where it is. In a moment here, we're gonna drop the knee in height, but try and keep the heel high. Keep the heel high as you drop the knee. Stomping behind you, you might feel a little bit of a scream or protest, on the other hip. Lower that down. Just one more. Knee comes up. Give yourself a little pause here. Doesn't have to be max range. Start to poke that knee out. Pause. Keep the heel high as you drop the knee and stomp behind the body, working through that protest, that sigh of anguish from the hip. You should feel a little bit of your glute here, a little bit of your butt cheek, and down. Okay, other side. Chair is not going to go too far because we're going to need it again. Right hip is down this time. Easy, gentle lunge, same thing. 4, 5, 6 repetitions. Now, a little bit of a step up. I don't usually say the following when we do stretches like this, but if you're a little bit more flexible or you're comfortable with this movement, you've done it several times, you can gently start to arch the spine now, okay? That can elevate the stretch to the front of the hip, okay, and the quad. We just don't want to feel any pinching in the back if you do so. But exaggerating this arch, okay, will allow you to get a little bit deeper and really start to unlock that stretch, okay? Wherever you want to be. Let's hold the static position now for, like the first leg, about 20-30 seconds. Join that front of the hip stretch. Hope you're on some kind of comfortable flooring, more comfortable than me. Another 3, 2, 1. Come on out. Okay, right side leg. Set up however you need to. Slow to start, okay? That was a long stretch, so just give the hip a few seconds here to kind of feel that it's changing position and now working in a range of motion. Keep the heel high as you drop the knee, stomp behind you. Feel that protest here. But we don't want anything in the low back, so it should all be in your hip. Grab 2, knee up, knee out, hold, a little pause. Knee drops, heel stays high as you drive behind you. Hold that for a second. Reach the leg backwards and down. Okay, good. So that's our first sequence. We worked on stretching the front of our hips. Now we're going to work to the inside of our hips. And we're going to take things up quite a bit with a frog stretch. Okay, I'm going to show you guys from the side. But most of us know frog. And what we're going to do in this frog stretch is we're going to hold this frog stretch for somewhere around 60 seconds. It might take us a little bit to get into position. And then we're going to do our same hip rotation on both legs, okay? So As you get down, you want your knees comfortably wide, right? Nothing excessive. We should start to generate a stretch on the inside of the thighs and the groin. And when you're in your low position, once you've made your way down to your elbows, we want to see a position where your hips and your knees are somewhat in line. So as you're watching me from the side, I'm not aggressively far back, and my hips are also not crazy forward because this is useless. I'm going to comfortably reach my hips backwards to a point roughly in line with my knees, where I'm getting a great stretch on the inside of my thighs, okay? And we're gonna see the timer's on now. We're gonna hold for another 45 seconds. I want you to breathe, I want you to relax. If at any point you wanna make a little adjustment, get a little bit wider, go for it. Okay, you can always sit backwards a little bit more like this and get a little bit more stretch. Try and relax, inner thigh. This frog stretch does its job. About 15 seconds, okay? Keep on hanging on. I know this is a little bit of a tough stretch to hold for an extended period of time if you're not used to it. Gently, gently, gently. I want you to make your way out. Whew. I'll be a little bit tender coming out from the frog. Okay, I'm gonna do my left leg first, because that's what we did on the previous round. Now, a couple seconds here, again, just to let the hips kind of breathe from holding that frog for about a minute. What I want us to try and feel is when we move our knee outwards this time, the area that we just stretched, the inner thigh and groin, I want us to feel hopefully a little bit more flexible there. So as you bring your knee up with me, okay? As you bring your knee out, this is where we should feel a little bit more comfortable. Perhaps you can bring the knee a little bit further out than you could on the first round of rotations, as we offered that little stretch there. Drop the knee, drive back and down. And now let's reverse the repetition. So knee and ankle are gonna come up outwards to the side. You're gonna feel that outer hip protest. A little attention through your stomach. You're gonna rotate and pull your knee up to the ceiling. Pull it in, down, that's all, other side. This leg might feel a little better just because it's had some more rest, okay? Take a second, a little bit of tension in your stomach, knee comes up. Remember, we want to feel that the outward position here where the knee goes out is a little bit more accessible after that frog stretch. Drop the knee, keep the heel high as you stomp behind you. Lower the leg down, reverse. Leg lifts outwards, not forwards at all, completely to the side. Rotate, pull knee up to the ceiling. Bring it in, down. Good. Okay, we have one more leg stretch with rotation, and then we're gonna move to our shoulders. Let's do a pigeon hold, okay? Now I'm gonna give you two options for this. Option one is gonna be like a conventional, I guess what I'd say is like yoga pigeon, which looks like this, okay? Where I got this very bent knee, my leg behind me is long, okay? If you feel a good glute stretch doing that, okay, great, hold that. The other option could be a movement we do quite a lot, which would be a 90-90 glute stretch, which is where I'm gonna reach my chest forwards, okay, in the 90-90 position. Either of those is fine. We basically just wanna feel a stretch on the outer hip, okay, outer and lateral side of our glute. So it could even be a different stretch if you are versed in your stretches and you know how to stretch that area. We're gonna be here for about 30 more seconds, and then we'll go into our rotation and we'll change legs. But all we're doing today, which is a little bit fancy, but really simple when you think about it, is we're simply stretching different sides of the hip. Okay, we start at the front, work to the inside, now we're on the outside, and then consistently giving it this joint rotation stimulus where perhaps we feel we can express more range of motion through each rotation. Make your way on up, okay? I did my right side, so I'm gonna be working my right rotation. You might be doing the opposite, you might be on your left, okay? Last time on this side, knee up. Give me a nice pause here. We're only gonna do the reverse repetition here. Bring the knee out. I'm still feeling some trickle down effect from that frog, okay? A little bit more open through here. stomping and driving backwards. And now you might find a little bit more range in this position. This is what we were just stretching. And down. Good. Other side. I'm going to stick with pigeon, although it's not my favorite. That's what I did on the other side. And so just to be consistent, I'm going to be here. And 40 seconds is on. Relaxing, breathing during your passive stretch here. During your passive stretch. About 10, 15 seconds left. Start to gently make your way out. Pop my chair over here. Last hip rotation of the day. We're just going to go in the reverse range. Knee comes up. Give yourself that pause. It doesn't need to be all the way, but nothing chump change, okay? Nothing easy. Start to bring the knee outwards. Still feeling some, again, feedback from that frog stretch. Gonna drop the knee, keep the heel high as you stomp behind the body, feeling the glute work. Down and relax. Okay, fantastic. Let's move on to shoulders. So now that we know what to do, I don't have to give you that big spiel again. Let's go right into our first shoulder stretch, which is gonna be my favorite, Lat Tri-Stretch. We're gonna do this today with your hands in what we call an A-frame position. Okay, it looks like an A. After our stretch, we're gonna do a shoulder rotation, a shoulder car, controlled articulate rotation, and then we'll go on from there. So, elbows on your ottoman, elbows on your bench, elbows on your couch, elbows on your chair, elbows on your dog. Okay, hop into the Lat Tri-Stretch, keeping the hands together. I like to round the low back here. I find it excellent for making a good lat stretch. So look up if you need to see what that looks like. Rounded back looks like this. This is an arched back, which for me does nothing. So rounded back. I like to softly press armpits down towards the floor. I like to press my upper back shoulder blades to the ceiling, opposite direction. And that just takes away any uncomfortable pinching in the shoulder. Just makes the stretch really, really solid. Give me 3 more deep breaths. And then you're going to ease on out. Okay, so if you did that well, you would be stretching your lat here, armpit, and a little bit of your tricep. And so what we should be feeling now as we do our shoulder car is that the ability to lift our arm overhead feels nice, feels easy, doesn't feel restricted or pinchy on the shoulder. So if you start to bring your palm up towards me like so, reach your arm overhead. This should be a little bit stretched from that lat tri-stretch, okay? And to put my arm overhead should feel really comfortable. Now, start to span the arm out and backwards. On the last video we did together, we did a 2-arm version of this. Pull your knuckles backwards. You're going to turn your thumb down. You're going to reach your hand behind the body, trying to keep the palm up high. We don't want it low. We're working on our shoulder extension here. Down with control, and one more that direction, just like we did with the hips. Hand up, palm can face me. Turn that hand outwards, outwards, outwards. Don't follow with the torso. Keep the rib cage square facing forwards. Drop the thumb, turn it in, and down. Good. Other side. Palm starts to come up, facing me if you want to, okay? Get it right overhead, elbow should be straight here, and then span that arm outwards, reaching knuckles backwards behind you, but not twisting through your body, through your upper body, I should say. One more. Hand comes up, palm faces forward, pause overhead. How does it feel? Should feel nice and open through here. Reach the arm out, turn the thumb down, reach behind the body. Good. Okay, done with our chair. Chair's been very helpful today. It's a good thing we have chairs in our life. We're gonna work on shoulder extension now, and just like our shoulder flexion we did, we're gonna do a 2-sided shoulder stretch. And unlike the hips where we did everything except for the frog stretch one at a time, we're just trying to save a little bit of time here and do both arms together. I like my fingers turning out for this, and even a little bit backwards, like 5 degrees backwards. I find this uncomfortable, and this I find is all wrist for me personally and not enough shoulder. So you can play around with what works for you. I go 5 degrees out, and I'm just gonna scoot my bum forward, keep my hands where they are, and I'm gonna find a position that's comfortable for me, where I have maybe a little bit of a bicep stretch, a little bit of a chest stretch, a little bit of a front anterior shoulder stretch, okay? Something that for 45 seconds we can hold, and it's like pleasant. It's not painful, uncomfortable, all the many synonyms I say over and over again. Pinching, right, restrictive, it feels like, wherever I'm stretching, chest, shoulders, bicep, it feels good. A little bit added tension could be I could pull my shoulders down like this. That could elevate the stretch. You definitely do not have to, and for some that will not be comfortable. But if you wanted to, you could pull the shoulder blades down like this. Very subtle if you can see that, but that can really make a big difference. We got 15 seconds. Working on a degree of shoulder extension, and then we're going to try and apply our shoulder extension in that shoulder rotation. Okay, however you need to, which could be walking your feet backwards, it could be kind of sitting up forwards, it could be taking one arm off the floor. Disengage yourself, okay? Give the shoulders a few seconds here. And now we're gonna do that shoulder rotation, the shoulder car that we just did. We're gonna do it in reverse, 1 or 2 reps. We're just gonna do 1 rep for time's sake. Take your hand, I'm gonna use my right hand. I want it to face backwards behind you. So if you're Iron Man, you're shooting the bad guys behind you right now. I wish I came up with that coaching cue, but I'm not that smart. But it's a great cue. If you're Iron Man, you're shooting bad guys behind you. Now, keep your torso where it is. I want you to slowly try and lift the hand backwards, not get caught in your mic cord. Backwards like so. Gently as high as you want to go, okay? Okay, you're not using the rest of your body. You're then going to open up the shoulder, turn the thumb to the ceiling, pull it overhead, reversing what we did before. Let's do one more. I take it all back. So, arms coming behind the body as best you can. Looks like this. Rotating thumb up. Some of you might feel a little creaky, a little clunky there if you're lacking some shoulder extension or outward external rotation. Other arm. Shoulders are going to come up behind the body. Okay. Gently work to a range that you feel comfortable with, okay? Whether it's just a couple of degrees or 45 degree. If you can get to 90 degree, you are doing pretty good with your shoulder extension. Externally rotate, pull your thumb up to the ceiling like so. Pull in overhead, elbow is straight here and down. One more. Extend the shoulder. You might feel an opening stretch through here. That's a good thing. Okay. Our last stretch, I'm not super fancy. I don't like to cut the camera and blend things together, which maybe would be effective, but I'm not that fancy. So I'm gonna show you a stretch on the wall here, and I'll try and emulate it first in front. So if my wall was right here and I'm demoing this for you, I want you to put your palm on the wall with your thumb facing up, okay? And right now my nose would be going into the wall, and very gently I'm gonna rotate away from the wall to create a stretch through here, okay? So it's going to be a similar range of motion and a similar type of stretch to what we just did, but it's going to be a little bit more in the abduction range, okay? So now that you kind of have a little bit of a gist, hands on the wall, okay? My elbow can be a couple inches away from the wall, it does not need to be close. Just going to turn my toes, look how my hips stay close to the wall. And I'm softly going to press my shoulder towards the wall now, okay? So again, if I'm here, wall's here, as I'm turning, my shoulder comes inwards towards the wall to create that stretch through here. Okay, whew, that is a wonderful, wonderful stretch. Is that not? Note how my arm is like parallel with the floor. If your arm is angled up or down, it's not necessarily wrong, but it might not feel the best. Let's breathe and hold this stretch for about 15-20 more seconds since I just joined you and I want to get some benefit as well. You can actually see with me, my hips are actually perpendicular with the wall. So I'm not facing in any way. This is the most wonderful cameramanship I know has ever been done for YouTube, but we're doing it. And come on out. So as always, we should be feeling an opening angle stretch. We should feel no pinching or discomfort on the other arm, or sorry, on the back of the shoulder, okay? Let's do the left arm, okay? Just to give the right arm a little bit of a breather before our rotation. Hand on the wall, about parallel with the ground. I turn my toes away from the wall. Hips are still close. I softly press the shoulder towards the wall, nothing excessive, and find that opening side stretch. Bicep, shoulder, chest. Do not make contact with your shoulder, okay? It does not need to touch the wall. Just moving towards it to create that stretch. Again, avoid any pinching or restriction on the inside of the shoulder blade. You want to feel something near the wall stretching. Bicep, shoulder, chest. A couple more seconds. And come on out. Okay. Now, what we should feel after doing that abduction position is after we go overhead and we start to span the arm out, that should feel a little bit more accessible than maybe it did the first rep. That'll make more sense here in a second. Last time through, start to bring your hand overhead, palm towards me, flexion. Okay, we already stretched this area, so flexion hopefully feels all right. Now we're gonna start to bring not only the arm outwards, but backwards, and this is where we should feel a little bit more accessibility because we just stretched through here against the wall. So the ability of the arm to pull backwards, I can feel a big difference from the start of the session. Turn the thumb down and then pull the hand backwards into extension, trying to reach palm to the ceiling, down. Should feel a whole lot better. Let's do the other arm. Arm comes up, palm faces me, okay? How does the flexion feel after stretching through here? Start to reach the arm not only out, but backwards. Oh yeah, much better, feels great. And really attentive that you're not moving here because then that's just a useless test and retest, right? Turn the thumb back down and in. Extend the shoulder, try and keep the arm up as high as you can. Down with control. Really, really nice. Hope you had fun today. Maybe learned some things when it comes to stretching that might be helpful for you. Have a great day and I'll see you next time.